Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Ben. So you're probably wondering, who's this guy? What's this video? I've never seen him. What's the point of this? So yesterday, when I had shared screenshots of my successful completion of the Shattered Throne solo flawless for the Triumph Seriously Never Again, I actually had several people request what my loadout was, some tips and suggestions for specific parts. And at the time, I was totally cool just starting to write up some things text wise, and I realized it very quickly spiraled out of control into massive paragraphs that would be frankly inhumane to ask people to read through to understand what I did at specific parts throughout this run. So I thought, what the heck? I have a mic, I have a recording set up, might as well quickly run through the video, run through what my loadout was, subclass weapons, etc., at specific parts of the dungeon, and some specific tips that I noticed along the way that became massive frustrations to myself, and go ahead and share that with everyone. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So for most of the dungeon, as far as subclass is concerned, uh, well, for the first half, I relied on Well of Radiance and Lunafaction all the way past the Ogre boss. Um, for obvious reasons, healing myself, it makes killing a lot of these early mini bosses super easy, as well as it was totally necessary for the strat I was using on the Ogre. And then for important armor perks and mods, I had a major and minor resist as well as a taken spec, and then I always wanted to make sure that I had a heavy and special ammo finder. And then that's pretty much consistent throughout the rest of the dungeon, other than switching a couple exotic armor pieces. And then for weapons, we'll go section by section because I do change weapons a lot. So for this first area, for the matching the symbols, I relied on trench barrel, the curated threat level, and then my right side of wrong with Zen Moment Rampage and Flared Mag. And I just liked the right side of wrong simply because the range. A couple of the bosses had solar shields, so I wanted to have that there for that. And then I also used a hammerhead with Rampage and dynamic slow reduction. So not a very good one, but it worked. Any machine gun, frankly, will work there. So yeah. So as far as any specific tips for this part, just remembering the additional spawns of the scions, and then the one taken phalanx that spawns when you're going to the kissing snake shrine in the middle lower area. Just remember that because I died a couple times to that. It's very obnoxious. So as far as this matching game, that was pretty much it. Just if you're using my exact strat, just Rift and Well to your comfort level. That's frankly what I did. I had a couple runs where I used it in places where I didn't use it the next time. So just use it at your disposal for those. So then we jump ahead to the Descent, and that was actually where my first major weapon change was after killing all of these guys. And I switched to the Long Shadow in my kinetic slot. I did that for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to keep special ammo in the kinetic slot because I would be swapping between the Long Shadow and threat level frequently in these first couple rooms, uh, as well as just relying on right side of wrong still because the Taken Captain up ahead has a solar shield as well. So jumping down here, I use the Long Shadow to clear out that Minotaur, and then I will use the Long Shadow to clear out some of these Vandals up on some of these cliff sides here for the snipers. Just get rid of as many as possible, as well as taking out a Minotaur if you can. Some runs he would get killed, sometimes he wouldn't. It was just obnoxious. I just kind of did whatever I could with whatever run I was on. After killing all that I can before I climb up these stairs here to that last Taken Captain before the big doors, I then switch back to my threat level and would try to preserve some of the special ammo on the ground, as well as any heavy bricks, just because once those doors open, I wanted to try to scavenge as much special and power ammo because I would be switching weapons. So anyway, so switching back to the threat level here, we'll skip ahead to the Taken Captain, where I rush up to him, kill the last Minotaur here, and then I kill this last Taken Captain utilizing the Well of Radiance. He's a pain in the butt. Sometimes he would rush up to me, sometimes he wouldn't. So quickly killing him with the threat level. And then after he is dead, switching my weapons to Darcy, and then switching back to the Long Shadow for this big room up ahead and for the catwalk with the ogres. And I did that for one because Darcy, obviously super powerful, easy 3 taps the ogres and 3 taps the Taken Captains in that big room up ahead. And obviously power ammo is easy to get because of the Taken Spec mod. So jumping ahead, I get through this room. I wanted to use as much of the long shadow as possible as well, for the simple fact that after the catwalk with the ogres, I switch which slot, kinetic versus energy, which one of those has the special ammo. So it was going to drop to 0 anyway, so I figured just spend what I had. So I end up getting through here pretty cleanly with just relying on the 2 snipers. And then get to the catwalk, take out the ogres. Nothing super special there either. Take them out. And then I do switch my jump here. To keep note of that, I do switch to the strafe glide just because I'm super paranoid that I would mess up the jumps. And so I get through that with the strafe glide. Then right after this catwalk, I switch back to burst glide. And then the last big change that I make is before running through the thrall room with the run and running into there. This is where I do change to my Tiger Spite in the top slot, just an auto rifle, easy to kill red bars with, and then I switch to my main to have my main loadout for that ogre fight, having the Telesto and the Spike grenade launcher, my Spike grenade outrageous fortune. Excuse me. I also switched to Carnstein armaments, which you just saw, just because it makes this super easy. Every punch heals me; it just makes it trivial, frankly. So and that kind of lets me take my time killing as much as possible to gather all the ammo that I will need for that ogre fight, because that's one of the biggest things after my earliest runs. I realized take your time, get the ammo you need, because otherwise it can barely ever drop in. It's super frustrating. So I kill all these guys, get through here. Once I get through the thrall run, I then switch to my main loadout for the ogre fight fully, having the go figure in my top slot. I have a go figure with Outlaw Rampage, super potent. I absolutely love this gun since the day I got it when Forsaken came out. So just rely on that. I also had a scout that worked really well in that top slot too. I think it was the Night Watch from the Reckoning. Really good gun as well. Mine had Rampage and Snapshot. So use that, get through here, just kill all these phalanxes, get as much ammo to drop. The one thing you'll actually note here as well, I try not to leave any ammo bricks on the ground. I have this paranoid idea that ammo won't drop if there are any other bricks in the instance. I have no proof of that, but paranoia kicks in and you just roll with it, especially when you're going for a flawless run in the Shattered Throne. So anyway, so we'll move on to the ogre fight. So for the ogre fight, a couple big tips here is you'll notice, so looking at the room, my kind of big starting point is this pillar right here in front of me. And I kind of use this to kind of get my bearings when the fight first starts, after putting a couple of easy, quick shots into that first witch. I because they're free shots. It's super easy to get her down to like 30% health. And then after I do that, I run back to that pillar, sit there, sort of take my time, zigging and zagging, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodging, all those, funny puns with that, and taking out as many red bars as possible, as most of the guides will say to do. And just try to keep myself safe, etc. And then from there, once I take out as many red bars as I feel comfortable with before moving, at that point I'll kind of start the run, I guess, as I like to call it. There's a couple different strats. The one I found that I liked the most was I liked getting this first switch to the 30%, which you saw, and then moving counterclockwise around the room, taking out each like little quarter at a time. So I would, take out all the red bars, rush the witch, instantly kill her with the Telesto, get the orb, and then move on. And once I kind of got into a rhythm of a few attempts of getting used to this idea, I didn't really ever push it too much on the timer. There's a couple times I got kind of close, but I mean, other than that, if you're in the rhythm and you're really doing well, getting through that was pretty easy. Another couple quick tips on this. Like I said, that zigzagging, but also if the phalanxes throw bubbles and they're really low, just run up and punch them and hide in the bubble for a second. I don't think you'll heal, but nothing can shoot you while you're in there if you're kind of in a pinch. I found that really helpful on a couple attempts, sort of figuring out this fight, and that proved really helpful. So kill a witch, run around, take out all the witches, etc. Nothing super exciting. So real quick, actually, another big tip here: once you kill that last witch, which you should end on the witch with the 30% if you do this exact strat that I had. The one thing I kind of was having issues with was running up to one of those dumping spots and throwing the Orban, and that was because if the ogre could see me, his stupid blast pushes you back. It was very obnoxious. I stumbled upon it and realized that if I slide and pop my super in the animation of using my Well of Radiance, I could actually dump the orbs into the thing, whatever you want to call it, and just made it really easy to kind of complete both of those actions without having exposed time where the ogre could knock me back. At that point, then it's just bursting him down, dumping all the grenade launcher ammo I had into his face, trying to avoid hitting the orbs because that's wasted shots, which you just see happens with my Telesto specifically, and just dumping everything you got into him. If you need to kind of pause for a second to not have the orbs get hit with your shots, wait that kind of quarter second, or if you have something with quick draw in that top slot by chance, just pop that out real quick and get rid of those. There's a lot of strats that do that as well. So anyway, that's the ogre fight. That's one of the biggest hurdles for me anyway, when I was practicing all this. At this point, this is when I actually completely switch subclasses. I will switch to Top Tree Stormcaller for the Arc Web, and this is kind of all in preparation for the Dolan Karu fight. Most of the rest of the thing is kind of trivial. Once I've done it a few times for practice, it's just watching the Taken Captains with the solar shields, being careful on the boop wall. But other than that, most of it's just prepping for that. So for the Dolan Karu fight, my main loadout that I'll switch to is I'll rely on Izanagi's Burden for her, and then of course I'll keep the spike grenades. And then I'll actually end up switching to another weapon later, but I rely on the right side of wrong because, as stated prior, most of that stuff has solar shields and there's a lot of red bars still you have to work through, so I just stick with that. So we'll go ahead and skip now ahead to where I switch one more time before the Dolan Karu fight. Okay, so here we go. So right before this boop wall, actually, so there's a thrall run that you do right here, yeah. So I actually had switch. So I get through this run here, they're rushing you, etc. There's technically a shortcut up ahead you can take that's on the left. I didn't like doing it. Every time I tried to do it, I would die. I'd be pissed because then like the second attempt I'd come back and I'd be like, fine, I have to get through it anyway. I'd do the jump no problem. I don't like inconsistency. So I was like, screw it, I'll just do the regular boop wall and just be on my merry way. I think hunters, it's easier for you to be more consistent with that, as well as like obviously titans with lands rampart if you do that. But for me with the warlock with the burst glide, it felt inconsistent and I wasn't dealing with it. So coming to here, I actually switched to a Prolium in my energy slot, rapid fire energy. You can get from Banshee. Super awesome. If you never use them, highly recommend it. I love mine. It's masterwork. I got Tap the Trigger and Threat Detector. It's just awesome. It's one of my favorite guns to run in the energy slot. But I switched to it specifically because, so since I had said before, I'm relying on Izanagi's Burden for the damage on Dolan Karu, I needed to rely on my super, grenade launcher, and the whatever I put in my energy slot to take out the rest of the knights, and if there's any scions remaining. There's not ever really, but still. So I switched to the Prolium, and then right here, so that way if I can get any, after killing all those phalanxes, I can collect any special ammo bricks to have a little bit of Prolium and just run double energy, or sorry, double special in that grenade launcher for the Dolan Karu fight. So we'll go ahead and skip to the Dolan Karu fight up ahead. And this is really where I get super, super precise with this, because if I did it right, it worked flawlessly. So to real quick, kind of before the fight starts, to kind of preface what I actually am doing here. So I have my grenade launcher. I'll dump 3 shots from that first clip, because there's 5 shots per clip, into that right knight, and then 2 into the middle one. And then while I'm in the process of reloading, I'll actually throw my grenade over to that group of scions. That will give me more heavy ammo because of taking armaments, which then gives me more for that. And then I will dump the rest of the clip split between the left and the middle knight to kind of get them. I'm trying to get them all to like less than 60%. So I do that here, then I run around the pile, and then just use my super, clear out the rest of the scions because they are a pain. I can't stand them. They multiply stupidly fast. And I just dump the rest of my super into the knights. The left one, unfortunately, I did not get him super low, which you saw as I was rounding that corner there. So at that point, use the rest of the super on him, and then I dump what heavy I had in the clip. I didn't have any in the clip, so I had to reload. I dumped that into him. I kind of panicked here because he got a little too close to me, so I quickly switched to that Prolium, which I'm glad I did that, and that just one shot takes him out. At this point, I kind of reset, and then it's kind of a cakewalk at this point. I just dump whatever heavy I have into him real quick, snap back, and just rely on Izanagi's burden. I didn't even have to use this clip right here of this grenade launcher to kill her. I just did because it was quick, easy, and it was there because my grenade launcher happens to have auto loading holster. And then, like I said, it's trivial at this point. Take her out. Win the fight. Izanagi's burden does so much damage, and once I switched to the strat, I just loved it. And frankly, I love the sniper rifle in general. Super good. I can't wait to get the catalyst for it. So yeah, so that's it. If you stuck with me through this whole video, I appreciate you guys watching. I did also want to end this video with a huge thanks to everyone on the Destiny 2 PC Facebook page. All the positive messages and vibes for completing this. Thank you guys so much. I really did appreciate it. This was a huge personal accomplishment. I really wanted to do it to, for one, to prove I can, but also like, you always wonder how good of a PvE player you are if you're a PvE player. PvP, it's kind of obvious how good you are. But so this was like a testament to see how good I was. And anyway, I proved it to myself and was super excited. So without rambling anymore, thank you guys for watching, and good luck in your attempts at getting Seriously Never Again.